Okay, so here we are in section 3 review. We're going to go through questions 4 through 8 in this video. So starting at number 4, what we're going to do, let me get my annotations. What we're going to do is we're going to find the x and the y intercepts of each line. So thinking back to 3.2, how we're going to do that is we're going to plug in a 0 for x to get the y, and then we're going to plug in a 0 for y to get the x. So when we first do this, this is in y equals mx plus b form. And if we remember what each part that is, the m is the slope and the b is actually the y-intercept. So in this case, we know that the y-intercept is just going to be that tail end of -4. And again, we can check that if we plug in a 0 here, that gets rid of all this. So then it's just y equals -4. So that does work. Okay, so then going on to the next part, we're going to be plugging in a 0 for y to find the x. So to do this, we have 0 equals 0.25x minus 4. We're going to get all the numbers onto one side. So I'm going to add 4 onto the other side. And we have 4 equals 0.25x. And then I'm just going to divide everything by 0.25. So 0.25. Gets rid of it there. We put that into a calculator, it's going to come out to 16 equals x. Okay, so that is the answer for number 4 there. Going on to number 5, this is not in y equals mx plus b form. So we're going to just plug in zeros for x and zeros for y's to get our answers here. Okay, so let's start by plugging in the 0 for x. We come out with 2y equals -3. And then when we divide -2 on both sides, we're just going to get a positive 3/2 for our y. So 3/2 for y. And then we're going to plug in a 0 for y, which will come out to 7x equals -3 when we're done multiplying that all out. And then we're going to divide by the 7, divide by 7 on both sides. And then for our x, we're going to come out with -3/7. So that is our answer for number 5. That is where it crosses the x and the y intercept. That is where it crosses the x and the y axis. So then coming over here, we're going to be doing the same thing that we did in the others. We're just going to be plugging in zeros. So let's plug a 0 in for x first. We're going to get -y equals -2. But remember, we can't just leave -y as a negative. We have to make it a positive. So we're going to divide by -1 on both sides, which will come out to a positive 2 for the y-intercept. Then going on to finding the x, we're going to plug in a 0 for that y, which will get rid of this. And as you can see, x equals -2. So -2 is our answer here. And there we go. Okay, so then coming down here, we're going to graph each line and find the slope. Okay, so when it comes to a y equals -3, pretty much what this means is that it's going to cross the y-axis at -3, and that's where the line is going to be. So when we think about this and we have to graph it, right, we come up here, not to +3, but we go to -3. So let's go down to the -3 here. We're going to make a dot. So pretty much it has to cross here. So the only way you could do that is if it was in a horizontal line. That's the way that makes sense. So for y's, the slope is just going to be 0. So slope of 0, and that is what our line is going to look like. It's going to go right through -3 there. And I'll put 0 as the slope. Okay, and then coming over here, as you can see, there's only an x variable. So what we're going to do is we're going to get all the numbers onto one side and leave the x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 5 first. We're going to come out with 7, and then we have 2x. I'm going to divide 2 on both sides. And so then we come out with x equals 7/2. So pretty much what this means is that an x1 is going to be the opposite of a y, right? So it's going to be a straight up and down line at 7/2, because that's where it's going to cross. A good way to think about this is the number right below 7 is 6, and 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. So really, we're left with 3 1/2. So whenever we graph this, we're going to go 1, 2, 3 1/2. So I'm going to make a point right in between 3 and 4. And then I'm going to create a vertical line going through that point, like so. And there we go. It's a little bit crooked, but we'll deal with it. So a straight up and down line. And of course, whenever we have a vertical line, the slope is going to be undefined. So just making sure to put that down when you do these questions.